that. Let me touch it. I need it.
I'm trying to freaking. God.
You know, I've never put my toe in a booty hole before. That sounds fun.
So, like, what's your most horrific memory that you've ever experienced?
That might be a bit heavy, so I'll have to lie to you and tell you a different one.
Yeah, tell me one that's not true. And then
One
make it
that's
sound
not
real.
true?
Yeah, tell me a.
Wait. What the fuck? Guys are like some weird fucking gremlins under the door trying to steal Ethernet cables. Not even with a sound.
Luckily, you don't need any internet at all to record a podcast.
True. It only helps.
I don't know what episode this is. Episode 23? 24?
Maybe. Okay. So do you want like a...
What's the most horrific, vivid, horrible, and traumatic memory that you've ever experienced? Alternatively, you could tell me like your happiest memory ever.
I don't even know what that would be.
Oof.
Yeah. Life is pain.
You know, like how is life? Life has been riddled down to a single sound now. Just oof.
Yeah.
Like
a Minecraft sound too.
that. Yeah. Or Roblox, but yeah.
Oh, is it Roblox?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oof. Yeah.
Just like a fucking boomer or something now.
But like, you know, someone can tell you, like I recently had someone really go off about some brutal shit, and I was like, oof, man, that's really rough. Like, my first answer isn't like, come here, bro, like hug it out.
All right. So dark and traumatic shit, huh?
You don't have to, like, clearly you don't have to answer this question with honesty.
So
why would anybody demand this of you?
I don't know. I don't care.
You think you could walk around on the street and ask people with a microphone and go like, "Hey, what's your most traumatic story?" and they be cool and willing to tell the story?
I think I have a lot of.
I don't think I could tell my stories. I think that would be kind of brutal.
Yeah, it's hard to like lay bare like that kind of stuff. But like, I'm not even taking that stuff into account. Like the most.
Yeah,
Where it's like,
don't
I've tucked
do
that shit away for like 15 years. Bro.
Yeah, no. Yeah, right now I just like I'm having you like regress, and you're don't do that.
No, I think so. The stuff that it is within my purview of talking about. So, I don't think I've had like a lot. So I don't think I've had a lot of like I've never had like some really crazy shit happen like right in front of me that like shook me to my core.
You're like a man standing over another man, looking you in the eye. And he goes, "I'm gonna have you live, so you can tell this story." And he shoots the guy, and you have to just like watch him.
No,
and then you like don't even remember that guy's face because
sounds like
it's
some
so
Naruto shit,
it's
bro.
so like erased in your mind because it's so like regressed. It's like so repressed rather.
No, I think like some of the stuff that like maybe shook me to my core the most were like some like metaphysical shit that had, well, not metaphysical, but like some like supernatural or paranormal stuff that happened to me that I didn't understand at the time.
Yeah.
Or that I have trouble now even trying to like contextualize. So I just have to accept that it's like something that I will probably never understand.
I feel like that's what most of my stories are.
Like
I mean, I had bad parenting problems, and then I had like supernatural shit happen a lot when I was a kid.
I had there are a few instances from when I was a kid, and you know this is a really tough subject for me, not because of how hard it is to grapple with the concepts, but because I'm not sure if some of this stuff just happened in my head, and like it was memories mixed with dreams, mixed with like stuff I was just thinking about.
Because like memories are really unreliable.
Yeah,
but you have to realize that like if you can't trust yourself, man, who can you trust? The Lord.
Nobody.
Sorry.
So I guess one. This one's weird as fuck, and I still have the only way I can like explain this in any kind of way that like makes sense to me is I was having a lot of like fantastical like dreams or thoughts in my head at the time. I was a pretty little kid, So
He was a pretty little kid.
yeah, I was a beautiful small child.
Golden hair,
Um,
etc.
well, kind of. You know, I actually had like natural. So I listened to a lot of boy bands, and my hair.
Grew like boy band hair color.
Yes, I have. There's a picture of me during a soccer tournament where it looked like I had little fucking highlights in my hair, and that was around the same time that I was listening
Like
to
white tips.
Backstreet Boys. Yeah,
Wow.
it was
You
super
grew
weird.
natural white tips.
Seems I think so. um,
So sidetracked.
but when I was so it starts when for some reason my parents got my little brother a Woody doll with the string on the back. He pulled the string.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
You know, it says some shit.
Yeah.
My brother
There's
was
a
walking
snake in my
around.
boot.
Yeah, I was like, I must have been like 3 or 4 years old. My brother
I
was
must have
he
poisoned
was
the water hole.
he was yanking that shit constantly.
I'm about to come.
And yeah, and I got tired of it, and my like 3 or 4 year old self was like, you know what? I'm gonna make sure he can't do this at all. I pulled the string all the way out and cut it at the base of the back, so there's no way.
I think I
pull
did
any of
that too. I don't know if it was my Woody doll, but I definitely did something like that.
Yeah, and my brother was so pissed. But
Yeah,
you know,
I
that
mean-
was like the end of it. He stopped. You know, that thing didn't annoy me anymore. Like years later, we found it in a toy chest, and you know, it was nobody wanted to play with it anymore. It was like an old toy. But we kept finding it in weird places. So it would be at the bottom of the toy chest, like normally, because nobody played with it. Then we found it in the Lego container. Then we found it in a dresser drawer. And it was like always some weird shit with that thing.
Yeah.
So me and my other brother decided to have a little experiment. We were home alone. No one was home. We were like, all right, this is it. Right? There's nobody here that can mess with us. It's just me and you. We're going to throw, I don't know why this was the thing we did, but we threw a sheet over ourselves in the TV. So we were watching the TV, not able to perceive anything outside the sheet.
Yeah.
And that was our thing, was like, maybe if we're not looking, something will happen. Because it never seemed, nothing happens when we're there. So maybe if we're not looking. We didn't hear anything at all. We had it set up on the dresser, right next to, like, up to our right, pretty high. You have to climb we were so small, we had to climb the dresser to get up there. But me and him were sitting there the whole time. Neither of us went to the bathroom, as far as my memory can tell me. Neither of us went to the bathroom or anything. We watched maybe 2 TV programs, and then we were like, "Yeah, we're bored of this. Let's stop." The Woody doll was gone. It was not on the dresser.
Yeah.
We launched a full-scale investigation as to where it went, digging through things. Eventually, we found it in the bottom of our Lego container. And as everybody probably knows,
Legos are like loud as
yeah, they're
fuck.
loud as fuck. We didn't hear any of that shit, but we found them in the bottom. So we were weirded out. We were like, all right, that's it. This thing confirmed our little 7, 8-year-old brains. This thing is alive. We've seen Toy Story. We fucking know. But he's not a cool guy. We're getting rid of him. So we threw him into the fucking creek by our house and just watched him float
Hell
away.
yeah.
No.
No.
And we were done with it.
No. There's more to this story.
There is.
Oh my god.
We were done with it at
Oh,
that point.
shit.
The next year, right? The next year after the winter had gone and spring was coming, everything was fucking everything was melting. We were finding this weird fluff in the trees. We were like, the fuck is this weird fluff? Because we play outside a lot as kids, and once spring started coming around, we were outside all
Woody
the fucking time.
stuffing?
Yes, it was. We found the Woody doll, kind of mangled a little bit, fucking things that played with it, and chewed on its head. But it was in our yard again, and it was ripped, and there was stuffing on some pine trees in the back of our house.
Yeah.
We were me and my brother were like, nah, we're not giving the benefit of the doubt to any of this shit. We fucking cut it into pieces and threw it back out there.
Back into the river?
Yeah. We literally just tore through it and cut it with scissors and stuff. We started finding stuffing everywhere. And then one time I was in the backyard and we had an outside cat. She was up in a tree that she's usually up in. I never really hear her hiss or anything. She just chills. She started fucking hissing and like spitting and stuff, and I was like, what the hell is going on? And the Woody doll fell out of the tree. It was intact, bro. It was fucking intact. This is the part where I'm like, okay, did I dream all the other stuff? Is that stuff like all weird? Who knows? It fell out of the fucking tree. Right on the ground in front of me. I took it and I was like, all right, this motherfucker gone. I'm not just throwing him in the creek.
Burn
all right?
that bitch.
Well, no, I didn't burn him. I have other stories of fire that didn't go over
I
so
feel like
hot.
you'd have to burn that hoe.
I mean, looking back on it now, but I didn't just throw it in the creek by the house. The creek drains into a river across the street. I went over to the river, fucking threw him in, watched him sail his ass down the river, and I was like, done. We're done. You're not coming back from that. That shit's hard to swim against, all right? You're not coming back.
like Woody was real and his ass swam through. He swims against the current back to shore and then climbs up a tree and waits for you.
Yeah, I know, it's fucking weird. And I'm pretty sure at one point, this part was a dream. But at some point I saw the Woody doll and he was laying down and I was like, "Oh shit, he's back." And he like kind of like stood up and like started running at me, but I'm pretty sure that was just a fucking dream. That was probably a dream. But we had a pine tree in our front yard, and there was always a motherfucking bird in that tree laying eggs and shit. And I liked me and my brothers all like climbing up in that tree and fucking like looking at the eggs, and we'd get the whole line of like oh, don't touch the eggs because then the mama bird can smell it and they won't raise their kids, which is a bunch of horse shit. They just don't want you touching bird eggs because they're dirty and shit. But they don't, kids don't care about that shit, so you have to come up with like a weird other thing to make them feel bad about it. But I was in there climbing up to see if I could find a baby bird because there was some chirping going on in there, and I was like, hell yeah, baby birds. I climbed up in that tree. The Woody's fucking head was in the tree.
What the fuck? What the fuck?
At that point, I just took his head and I fucking threw it out in the street. That's all I did. That was the end of it then. I threw that fucking thing out in the street. I don't know what happened. I think a street sweeper got it and just took it away.
What the hell?
But like I had, like that whole thing was like really fucking weird and I remember it so vividly. I'm not sure if it was mostly dreams. I'm not sure if maybe I just had like a wild running fantasy. But like, fuck, that shit was so vivid.
Yeah, man, I don't know. I mean, that's super possible. This sounds like, I asked for a traumatic story, which is good that you didn't tell me that. You told me a really cool story.
Dude, that story traumatized me.
That shit sounds like, that's like the glitch in the Matrix stuff, where it's like, what the hell? There's not a lot of explanation for that other than, like, maybe, like, that thing had no grip on reality, and that thing, like, had a, like, kept popping back in and out, but then you would destroy it and it would come back.
It could also be that my outside cat kept bringing it back in because we'd throw it into the water, and my cat would go fish in the water in the creek and stuff.
But your cat would go get you'd see it like completely go down like the river, and then your cat would go get it.
My cat,
but it came back intact.
One time, it did.
You didn't have more than one Woody doll?
No. We had that one.
I'm asking that question not because I believe that you would have more than one Woody doll. I'm sure someone's asking that question now. Like, did he have more than one Woody doll? Did it have, when it came back intact, was the string cut?
Yeah. So, my thing is, there's, the way I think now, my thought process now, coming to where I'm at in life now, there's probably a very, very reasonable explanation for it all that I am overlooking, or it's like too hard for me to grapple with. So it sounds like a lot of hoops to jump through for me to like have felt like I made it all up in my head. Yeah. It's possible. I've done it before. I get pointed out all the time that, like, when I bring up, like, oh, no, that didn't happen that way. It happened this way. And then Kaylee's out there and, everybody else is there. They're always like, nope, you're remembering it wrong. You're remembering it wrong. We've talked about that before on the podcast, where it's like
Yeah.
it's like a weird dissonance. But
Yeah, memories are pretty unreliable. I have to correct my wife all the time, and especially when we go back and like talk about D&D stuff. Like last night with like that tree, they're like, "Oh, was this the one where the lady was singing at the?" And then she was all quiet and stuff. I was like, "No, that was she was sitting down on a stump that happened at this time. You know, you don't remember that?" And they're like, "Oh yeah." So you always have to like kind of clarify. Memories are fuzzy, but usually with like I feel like with really powerful like traumatic memories, it's really vivid. Like I feel like, I mean, I guess you can't know for sure, but I feel like if I went back in time and viewed like events as they happened, I don't think it would be that far off from my memories. Like the really traumatic stuff, thinking of like, like I was like death threatened with like a knife, and I had that knife at my throat. I remember that. That was pretty vivid. I remember like being jumped by like 4 dudes outside like a fire station, and then like seeing the gap in the the 5 dudes, and like we all just took off that way, and like we ran to the fire station and we got away. Like that memory is really vivid, but like because those are like kind of traumatic for dumb shit memories that like don't have any grounding in like my day-to-day life. I imagine it would be like all kind of fuzzy, like what did I eat that day, and what did I buy that day, where did I go, the highway and all that stuff is just like recyclable. You just throw that into, what was that, like the trash can in your computer, and just empty that shit.
Yeah. Well, I think the way your brain works is like with a lot of that stuff, you like that's why nostalgia is so powerful. Is you associate like little parts and details of events in clusters in your brain, and then when you start having a memory, it's like lighting up those clusters like to reform your memory for you.
Yeah. I usually can remember like the first time of something pretty vividly,
because that's when you would first associate something with something else.
Yeah. Like I remember the first time I listened to Era. I was in Brandon's Honda Accord, and we're like,
Accord.
I think it was an Accord, or it was a Civic, but it was like a 95 Honda, and he's going to get his car washed, and he's playing the Era album Impulse, and I was like, oh my god, this shit's the fucking best. What the hell? We're like at AutoZone, and then we went to go get his car fixed and stuff, and like car wash. I remember all that, but not because like all that was awesome, because I just sat in his car while he got like his stuff washed, and I helped him vacuum and stuff. But like that album, like is still one of my favorite albums ever. So like, I remember the first time ever hearing that.
Yeah,
I was like blown away.
A lot of like Bless the Fall, the first album, Witness, they a lot of those songs make me feel.
The first album was His Last Walk, but yeah.
Well, I mean,
I guess
with
really his first walk, because it was like the first.
Yeah, true. Well, it was His Last Walk was
Craig
Mabbitt's last walk, but
yeah. He did one single after that. I Wouldn't Quit If Everyone Quit. It's a decent song.
Yeah. I don't mind that first album, but I mean, I'm specifically talking about Witness.
Yeah, with Bo. Yeah.
A lot of that album, when I listen to it, I want to play Ragnarok Online, because when I first started listening to that stuff, I was playing Ragnarok Online as a kid. And now every time those are like a huge like part of my like music library, because when I go back and listen to them, I want to play Ragnarok Online, because it like feels like I should be playing it.
Yeah, strangely, when I listen to the first Bless the Fall album, His Last Walk one, I always want to play Halo, because I had Halo, I had His Last Walk on my Xbox 360, and then like I would play His Last Walk's album while playing Halo 3, and I'm like going through like the snow and the tundra, and for some reason it fits like so good. Like the way the beginning of that album starts out is like spacey. It's like it's like has like some cool ass fucking spacey sounds, and that it just like slaps after that. Even though in hindsight that song is about rape, and it's really about rape, it's really strange.
Which one?
The what's it called? A Message to the Unknown.
Oh, okay.
That song is very clearly about rape, and I never realized.
I feel like
and
the one
Guys Like You.
Guys Like You Make Us Look Bad. That one feels like it's about like Right, but that isn't that one about how he feels bad about how he can't be there for his daughter when he's on tour.
I don't know, maybe.
I feel like I
does
remember
have
that.
kid, so maybe.
I feel like that was like in an interview or something. I don't know though. I remember looking it up like way back when. I don't consume a lot of Craig Mabbitt anymore.
No. Other than
Especially
that,
his new stuff.
virtually none.
Oh god.
What was that line? There's a line for the new Escape to Fate that's like really, really painful.
It's like
The more you
the more you bitch, the less something. I don't remember. It was like it's such a shallow like line. I'm like, wow, this comes from the same person who like did the vocals for on his last walk. Like,
well, the lyrics
night
in that
and
album
day.
are pretty damn good, and then like musically, and that's more of the band, I guess, than it is just him. But like that album is still revered to be like one of the best like screamo albums of like that age, specifically the screamo age.
Mm-hmm.
And then now the lyrics are like, the more you bitch, the more I cry, the more you speak, the less I give a shit or something. I forget, it was something terrible like that. I wish I would have remembered the actual lyrics. You're the one who actually quoted it, but yeah, dude, like that weird like Matrix shit. The only really like Matrixy stuff I had that's like that would be like the Post-it note story that I always call back to, but that is some strange shit, dude. I mean, I've dealt with like a cursed book before, and I bought like a Barnes and Noble book that was about demonology.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I was like really into demonology when I was in high school. I loved like studying that stuff. I read a bunch on that stuff, and I was pretty like literate in it. But that book had like a lot of repercussions for it, and we ended up burning it because it was like you could see faces in people's faces, mm-hmm. and that like it wasn't theirs. It was really creepy, and it made you like really fucking aggressive to like read. But like it like demanded that you just like wanted to finish the book. The book had a lot of shit that like other books didn't have. It had a lot of like languages and sigils and stuff in it. It had a lot of information I hadn't heard before. And then we never could find the author. Mm-hmm. We never could find like anything about it. And then we ended up cutting the book into pieces because you couldn't burn it as a whole. We tried having like to burn the book as a unit, and you couldn't. You had to burn it like page by page. So it took like freaking forever. And then we all felt pretty resolved out of it.
I had I just handed Ronnie the lyrics to the song that we were talking about, so he can read it and laugh. But I had an experience. So
you give an inch, you took a mile. The more you bitch, the less I smile.
Yeah, lyrical
you
genius.
You keep bringing your shit to me, handing me all your insanity. Jesus, man.
It's not my problem. If you got issues, you can solve them.
Yeah, it's really not my problem. Won't let you drag me back to the bottom with you. It's not my problem. This is the second problem. Yeah, this is just terrible, man. And this is 2021 too.
Yep, this is like one of his newest, or not his newest. It's the band. All right, you can't just separate them.
The begging isn't working, baby. God. Like, you gotta wonder, what are you dealing with? What are you dealing with that you have that like these are the lyrics to your music? What are you dealing with? And that album cover looks like crap too.
And moreover than what are you dealing with now? Why are you using these lyrics to express yourself when in the past you've shown that you can have a lot deeper lyrics like for these kinds of like problems?
I mean, I guess because we don't listen to the band, there might be like an audience who's really into that like specific use of those lyrics, like really just cut and dry,
I think when Craig Mabbitt first went to
Escape the Fate.
Escape the Fate, that kind of lyric style started coming out, where everything was like very very straightforward. There was no like analogies or anything.
Yeah,
like the song Ashley.
Yeah, Ashley Baby.
Yeah, like everything is just very straightforward.
You make me feel so alive. I got purpose
Oh,
once
man.
again.
You know what?
Yeah.
It may be cringy, but I'll just own it. I used to fucking love that song.
Dude, that album is pretty good, but it's really like that
I
was
doubt it has aged well.
something is still decent, but that it's like, and now you wish that you were something. And now I wish that you were something to somebody else. It's like I said something yesterday, and you go, "Yeah, it seems like you said that like 3 times in the same sentence," and I really did. That was like the epitome of like really beating it to death. Like, oh, how can I use the word something as many times as possible and still have it be catchy? And he did. The Guillotine Part 2 is pretty decent. The guitar in that song is still wild as fuck, but I think Monty, the guitarist who wrote that part, left. I don't even think he's in the band anymore. So I think he like didn't agree with like a lot of that was going on. So he was a badass guitar player though. Probably a little too good for Escape the Fate at the time. But he put them on the map. And then after that I couldn't tolerate any of the lyrics.
I recently listened to, oh man, because of Carlos. Carlos is just, he's dead set on, he thinks all of Falling in Reverse's music is garbage except for Popular Monster.
Ooh.
He likes Popular Monster, and I listened to it again and I was like, it's so bad. It's so bad.
I don't know if it's his voice or the lyrics or a combination, but it is not, it's near intolerable to me.
I have a hard time separating the art from the artist on that one.
Because he's such a shithead.
Yeah. And like, I don't know. Like, so it if you look back at all of Ronnie Radke's stuff and like the music videos and the songs he writes and whatnot, or the lyrics he writes, you could so you could look at it now and be like, oh man, like, well, it seems kind of like he's like ironically narcissistic. He's not. He's always been like that.
Yeah.
Everything is about him. Everything is any kind of problem somebody has with like any part of his character is a whole attack on him as a person.
Yeah.
He may have done wrong things in the past, but it's not really his fault. Like it's all like that.
Yeah.
And it's also weird. One song that has not aged well is Situations. So when I was younger and I watched it, I was like,
it was the music video that got you.
Yeah, the music video was
The
like, oh
titty
my god,
ladies.
it's like
Titty ladies in school.
yeah, it's like school. I was in school. Titties, hell yeah, titties.
Yeah, who doesn't like titties? And I'm in
Yeah,
school.
yeah, and it was like hell yeah, Situations, woo.
But then it was like
situations. Like
yeah, and we're like but we're like a
Just
bunch
sounds
of
bad now.
like a bunch of like 20, 30-year-olds in school.
yeah,
Yeah. With a bunch of kids and titty ladies. Yeah.
talking about fucking dude.
Yeah.
Just it's just like that. All of that is just so yikes. It's just so yikesy now looking back on it. I'm like,
Yeah, I
oof.
bet that hasn't aged well. I bet most of that, probably that first album hasn't aged well. I remember listening to Guillotine Part 1 in that album, and I was like, oh my God, this is trash. But we're exposed to like really good music now, really good bands who are at like their highest level have already like produced like some of the best work that you'll ever have in like, 2017. Like now, and it's 2021 now. So we've already had like the epitome of some band's work. And then you look back at like 2006, 7, 8 at like older music and you're like, wow, we were still trying to figure that shit out, huh? But some bands, bro, like Seosin, Bless a Fall, had killer albums in like '07. And you're like, okay, so where did we go from there? It's a little strange to see some bands like really not hit their prime then, but they hit it like 10 years later. Like I think Architects did like that. Like they had Hollow Crown in like '07 or '08, and then they fucking went way up from there, and they like kind of went down a little, and then they came back up and they did All Our Gods, and All Our Gods is like fucking one of the best albums ever written for them. And then, but like somewhere like Escape the Fate, it's just progressively gotten worse. Someone like Falling in the Reverse is a newer band, but like never. I don't
It's
think they're on like the map in terms of like architects, like uh, musicianship and things like that.
no. Well, I think
Era,
I think
fucking
Falling in
Novelist.
Reverse is literally just Ronnie Radke with some people who can play instruments in the back. Like that was
Yeah.
like the whole point of it. I think Escape the Fate
Yeah,
in the
dude, a lot of
beginning.
music has been like that. Maybe in the 70s, dude, like music was like that too. I mean, literally the band is called Van Halen. Granted, like Van Halen, yeah, every part about it's awesome.
Yeah,
But
but
like,
that's what that was from the creation of it. The thing with top of the bed. The thing with Ronnie Radke though is it's not like
and it's not like the band's called Ronnie
yeah,
Radke. Yeah,
it's he got
Might as well
fucking ejected from Escape the Fate because some shit that happened in there. Because and when he went to jail,
Yeah.
then he was like all fucking pissed off at Craig Mabbitt for a long time because Craig was the new singer in Escape the Fate, which was his band. It's his band.
Yeah.
And then he makes a song, or he not a song. He makes a new band called Falling in Reverse. Nobody knows any of the names of any of the fucking people in it other than Ronnie,
Yeah.
and it's all about him again.
Yeah, literally. Yeah,
it all comes back
I
to
remember
him.
when it came out, and he's doing the music video. Where he's like walking around on the street, and I was like, I don't miss this guy. Like when he came back, I had a friend Zach, and he immediately got, because he loved Escape the Fate with like Ronnie Rad. He moved like him when he would sing, because like he
You
kind of
do
was
the like whole torso
Yes.
pop out thing.
Yeah, and he would kind of like
Oh,
move
so
his
weird.
body back and forth like that.
If nobody knows what that is,
Look
like
it
go
up.
look up the original like music video for "Not Good Enough for Truth and Cliche"
Yeah.
by Escape the Fate, and you'll see Ronnie Radke just puffing his chest out the whole time. Like he has
so he
scoliosis
did that,
or something.
and when Falling in Reverse popped out, it was a similar time to when there was Hollywood Undead,
Oh, good.
and like he was really
see
into
the
both of those.
motherfucking
Like you
writing
can be
on the
whatever
wall.
whatever you want. You can be into whatever you want.
Yeah. I used to be into Hollywood Undead.
I wasn't. I don't think I remember a single song, but I definitely remember listening to it and not liking it. I can't imagine going back and liking it. It's like Insane Clown Posse. I can't imagine I would like a single song.
I used to like Insane Clown Posse.
Were you a juggalo? Oh,
No.
dude, my high school was full of juggalos. We were the type of school where everyone was accepted. I didn't notice any like black disharmony, Hispanic disharmony, white disharmony. Like everyone got along.
You went to Legacy, right?
Yeah. And
Well,
it was
that was like a higher end school though, right?
I mean it was a public school. It wasn't, I mean, I don't know.
I thought it was like I thought it had a lot more or a lot more funding than like some of the.
it was
surrounding areas.
brand new. So maybe it only began 1 year before I started there. So there was only one graduating year before me. So, I think the first graduating year was like 2011 and I graduated in 2012. So, anyways, the school, I didn't notice a lot of disharmony and stuff.
Yeah.
But we did have a very, very specific group, and that was the Juggalos. We had a lot of Juggalos at our school who would wear the same Juggalo shirt, Insane Clown Posse, ICP, every day. They would wear the same, not the same shirt, but they only had ICP clothes. I remember there was girls I wanted to date who were dating ICP guys who were like insane. There was this guy who looked like Tarzan, who acted like a fucking gorilla. He would like randomly like start fights and shit, and he was like really aggressive.
It sounds like a juggalo.
And then I had a juggalo in my like biology class, and he was all right. He was a pretty quiet kid. He was chill, but wore juggalo sweater, shirt, fucking the necklace, the keychain. It's like a whole way of life. And that we had that at our school for sure. Didn't have like a lot of racism. There was some fights that happened between a very specific like 5 or 6 Hispanic kids, versus like a very specific 5 or 6 like black kids, and they fought pretty consistently. But that was it. I think our senior year, this kid got shot, but he didn't get shot because of like a race thing. He got shot because he was like dealing drugs, and then he didn't pay his drug dealer, because that kid was selling drugs from a drug dealer, and the drug dealer shot the kid in front of the Whataburger. It was pretty brutal, but it wasn't a race issue. It was because he literally didn't pay the drug dealer.
Yeah.
But high schoolers don't need to be getting into drug dealing. You could do drugs in high school. Not that I'm advocating drugs are specific, be responsible. But
and the war on drugs. We need to get rid of drug dealers by just fucking commercializing it, and you can buy it at the gas station, because nobody at the gas station is gonna fucking shoot you if you don't pay for them. They're just gonna call the cops on you if you try to steal from them.
Yeah,
Wait, no, that's not true. They might try to fucking ice you. Like if you steal from the wrong gas station, the Korean grandma's gonna come down with a shotgun.
That'd be awesome.
Take your knees out as you're trying to run out the door because he stole like a Tootsie Roll.
Like the individual ones, the 10-cent ones. But that's the thing, man. That's the solvent to the war on drugs. I feel like, it's probably more complicated than boiling it down to that. But when you get to the broth of it all, if you commercialize it, it's got to go down so. If you
the FDA has to like regulate like some like the like quality of which you can put out. Like you can't be like putting stuff out that has like
there was
weird
one time I got
chemicals in
fucking
it.
weed that I had weed one time, and I don't think this is very often because I've had a lot of weed in my life from 2013 to like 2018 probably. I was just like baked most of that, and in the one batch I had, we bought from this guy from my high school who we were trying to be cool with. Mm-hmm. And we lost our old dealer, and like the new dealer was him, and he sold us
tale as old as time.
Losing a dealer. So we got this new dealer, and it was this guy from high school, and we got weed from him once before this, and we were like, oh yeah, it's pretty decent weed, whatever, and it was a fair price. It was the same price everyone always charges. And we went to buy an eighth from this guy, and he wasn't there. But he left the weed in like a weird spot, and he was like, go get the weed here at this.
Fucking hot dropped you?
Yeah, and then we dropped him off the money in that same spot, and then we grabbed the weed and went home. We smoked it, and I was really excited. I was like, oh my gosh, dude, what we should do is get like stupid high. We had like 6 bowls today and fuck around and be like really, really, really baked. I didn't finish one bowl. I felt like something was seriously wrong. I was like sitting in my room, and me and my boy are sitting next to each other, and we're like passing this bowl back and forth. We didn't finish the first bowl. We never finished the first bowl. So I'm like, I hit it like a few times, and I felt like I was like, my body was like doing some strange shit. The best way to describe it is I didn't feel like I was present at all. I literally felt like I was going to astral project. I felt like my body and my spirit were going to split up, and my spirit was going to go somewhere else. And then I'm sitting down, and it did. Then my fucking spirit is like, and I felt it like cheese being pulled off of a pizza, dude. And I felt like my body was being lifted out of like its soul, or my soul was being lifted out of my body. Then I started freaking out. Not that I think astral projection is a bad idea, or like having an out-of-body experience is bad. I wasn't prepared for that. I wasn't in the place for it. I'm sitting in my room, and I was talking to my friend, and then I'm just going to fucking dip out spiritually. No. So then like I started trying to like come back to like reality, right? And then I felt my root canal surgery. Like I was having a memory, like a weird memory sensation where like I was remembering when I was sedated and getting my root canal done like earlier that year, and I felt it, and I was like, oh God. And like I felt like in that spot like I was having some kind of weird root canal surgery right now. And then I was like, bro, I don't feel so good. Like, I'm freaking the fuck out. And he was like, we've only had one bowl. We're about to have another one, right? And I was like, are you all right? He goes, this does hit different. Like, there's something wrong, but, Maybe it's just extra strong. And then he didn't have a name for it. He never had a name for it. He said there wasn't a name for it. Yeah, because there was something wrong. I went to the bathroom and I threw
acid.
up twice.
Cut it with angel dust.
I don't know what the fuck was in there, dude. I mean, it could have been like LSD or something was laced in it, and I would have been fine with that if I fucking knew what I was getting into. And then I might have gone some out of body and accepted it. So then I go to the bathroom, I throw up twice, and I come back in here and I go, "Hey man, I think I just need to take a nap or something because I'm terrifyingly high." And he was like, "Oh, cool." And then he goes, "Are we still going to play Smash Bros?" And I was like, "Sure." And I tried playing Smash. I played 2 rounds. And I paused it and I go, "I don't know who I am, dude. I don't know what character I am. I need to take a nap." So I take a nap and then I kind of killed it. And then he goes, "Can we go get Sonic?" I'm like super fucking hungry. And I was like, "I don't even know how you're functioning right now. How are you functioning?" And then I got the weed, or I got the keys, and we went to Sonic and we were fine.
Nice.
But I don't know what my point was. Is that sometimes okay. We said something about
End the war on drugs, so
it
can
can be regulated.
Yeah,
that's why that needs to be regulated. So you can go to a place and the guy's like, "Oh yeah, this is Blue Dream. You know Blue Dream. It does this and that. It's a fucking excellent head high. Blah blah blah. This is Bruce Banner. This is an excellent body high. If you're really wanting to mellow out and you have this and that." That's what you need. You don't need fucking Danny to be like, "Oh, hey, dude.
I found this shit."
Yeah, I don't know what this is called. I pocketed this shit
from my drug dealer's house.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I don't even know what this is called. I'm gonna give it to you and deal with it. You're like, all right, whatever, man. It was definitely a strange fucking experience, but that's why you need regulation. And for a long time after that, I stopped smoking weed for 2-3 months. And I was like, I gotta take a fucking break. It's
too hard.
Too scared because it was such a strange experience, and it was it hit so hard. Didn't even finish the bowl, dude. There was still so much left. I looked at that shit later. It was halfway done. I was like, what the fuck is in this? Then my roommate gave it to his dad, and he was like, "Oh, maybe you'll benefit from this. Maybe you'll want it." But he warned them, it hits different. Something's up. They both didn't finish it. Him and his wife, they were like, "Something's wrong with this weed. Something strange about it." Gave me a very weird experience. It's yes, something was up with that. You need some regulation on that shit.
Fuck, what was I gonna say? I had to remember it one other time just a minute ago. Did I ever tell you why I don't drink energy drinks?
Yeah, you do. You had a Monster yesterday.
Those are Monster coffees.
How's that any different?
No. It's different, bro. The classic energy drinks, right? Did I
ever
tell
Monster?
you? Did I ever tell you why?
No, because I never noticed. Because you have Mountain Dew all the time. What difference is that?
No, it's specifically energy drinks. Okay, I'll tell you. So, energy drinks to me have this weird flavor that I cannot do. The coffee ones are fine. The Monster coffees and stuff, I haven't had a problem with those. I don't generally like coffee, but lately I've been having to wake up super early, and sometimes I just want some fucking coffee, bro. But energy drinks, the non-Java ones, they have this weird aftertaste now that keeps me from drinking them. But it wasn't always that way. I used to fucking just do energy drinks all the fucking time. Rockstar Energy in particular.
Ooh, those used to give me diarrhea.
Man. Anytime I would go over to a friend's house when I was a teenager, I would be like, all right, I'm going to their house. I'm providing the party favors. That's going to be a few energy drinks for me, a few energy drinks for them. Hell yeah, we're going to stay up all night. It's going to be great. It's going to be so fun.
I think you just need one.
Oh, we did 3 each. Actually, generally it was usually 1, maybe 2 each. But I had gotten some extra money from doing some chores, and I was at a new friend's house, spending the night over there. And we were I was like, you know what? We're going ham. All right. I got 3 Rockstar Energies for me, 3 for him.
Oh my God.
We were going to space it out all throughout the night. And then on top of that, we each had a cocaine, which is an old kind of drink.
Cocaine?
Yeah, it was.
You guys did cocaine?
It was not. It was not. We did not snort cocaine. There was an energy drink that is no longer exists. For a brief period of time, it was called
I'll look it up
cocaine.
while he's talking.
Cocaine energy. They sold it in. Well, I know they had it in Georgia for sure, but that shit fucking burned. They sold it to you in a can that was slightly smaller than a Red Bull.
You bought four drinks. Cocaine.
Yes. The
energy drink.
The cocaine energy drink was in a small can. It was in a small can like
that.
Yes, it was in a small can like a fucking Red Bull.
I'll throw it up on screen.
It even says in there, like it has like the energy of 2.5 Red Bulls in it or something.
This is a spicy flavor.
Yes, it fucking burned. The first time you ever drank one, it burned going down. Like you would take a sip of it and you'd be like, it's like when you first ever drink alcohol and you like end up drinking like a fucking shot of whiskey or something, and it's just like fucking hard. It's like paint thinner going down your throat. But it was
it has 600% B12, which is more than some.
We were drinking those too, but I only got
there was
one.
an energy drink called Pussy. That's fucking excellent.
So I got one
for. Read the security label on the side.
I got 3 Rockstar energies for me, 3 for him, then 1 cocaine energy for me, 1 for him.
It does say that it does not contain cocaine. On the side.
They got taken off the shelves in Georgia at least, because of the name.
Oh, here you go. This message is for the people who are too stupid to recognize the obvious. This product does not contain the drug cocaine. Duh. This product is not intended to be an alternative to the illicit street drug, and anyone who thinks otherwise is an idiot.
Got him.
Nice.
So we nice. So we went hard in the energy drinks. We stayed up drinking energy drinks. We ended up like drinking all 3 Rockstars and the cocaine within the span of like maybe 2 hours.
No,
it was it was bad.
There's
it was bad.
No way that this story isn't as obvious as it should be. Where it's like
I'm just going into details,
yourself, bro.
Yeah, we did. But I can't drink energy drinks, or I can't drink those kinds of energy drinks anymore. It's the weird aftertaste that kills me. But me and him were laying in bed. So we've talked about sleepovers before, where you're all laying in bed in the middle of the night, just talking to each other in the darkness. Me and him were sitting there talking, and we felt fucking awful. We could not sleep. We were so tired, but we could not go to sleep.
Yeah,
so we were talking there, we were sitting there, we were laying there talking about what our obituaries were going to say the next day when they found us fucking dead.
Oh my god.
Because we overdosed on Rockstar Energy and cocaine.
Yeah.
And eventually, like, it was really early in the morning that my mom came to get me. I don't think I slept at all. I got home. I was like, I need to take a fucking shower. I feel awful. I'm getting in the shower. Got in the shower. I was just I took like really fucking hot showers, so maybe this was part of the problem. But I was sitting there. I washed my hair. I was just sitting there in the hot water, and eventually I was like,
I can't breathe.
Oh man, my legs feel weird. Like I can't like stand straight. So I grabbed the like handle bar that's on the side that holds like the little fucking towels and shit. Yeah. I grabbed that and I was holding it and I was like, all right, I'm just gonna wait this out. And then I just remember hearing my mom banging on the fucking door like, are you okay? Are you okay? And I was like laying down in the bottom of the tub and I was like, oh my fucking God. Like what just happened? I don't remember passing out at all. I just remember like a temporal skip to put me down there. And I was like, yeah, I'm okay, Mom. And I sat up and I was like, oh man,
I made a mistake. Oh, no. Oh, shit.
I threw up a black glob in front of me. It just like slid down the drain like all at once. It wasn't like when you throw up and it's like a whole bunch of stuff spread out. It was all like one big, a single being that like fell out of me and just slithered into the drain. I was like, oh no, I'm never drinking energy drinks again. Oh,
you scared the shit out of yourself.
Well, now the taste reminds me of that, so I can't fucking do it.
Just don't have rocks. Don't have 3 rock stars and a cocaine in one night, you fucking psycho.
Dude, I went hard as a kid, man.
I remember going through like 12 packs of Mountain Dew in one night, but 6 and 6. One with 6 with somebody. And the other somebody had 6. Jesus. One time me and Kaylee had BFCs, like the big fucking can of Monster. We finished half of it, and we met each other at lunch, and we're shaking. And we had this big ass can in our hands, and I was like, I feel terrible. Do you feel bad? And she was like, I feel awful. I feel like my world is falling apart. And I was like, let's throw these away. Well, neither of us had breakfast. We hadn't had lunch yet, and we're trying to take down half of this big fucking can we got from Big Lots that was like on sale, and then we were like, no, fuck this. We both threw it away. No, fuck that, dude.
Do you remember? I feel like you could tell a lot about people by which kind of energy drink they drank as in school.
Yeah, mine was definitely Monster. But I dated a girl, Tyler.
Yeah, you skateboarded though.
And I skateboarded.
Yeah. So
I didn't even get into Red Bull until last year.
I was a super nerd.
Which just is so much better than any other energy drink. In my
All
opinion.
I did as a kid was play video games and stuff, and I drank Rockstar Energy.
Which seems like a motocross thing.
No, the motocross one is when I was living in Wisconsin. All the kids who did like dirt biking and ATV and stuff drank NOS. They had the big cans of NOS,
that, but we don't. Well, no one drinks it really. We have it at like Best Buy.
They would like take the cans and like leave them out in the sun until they fucking exploded because they thought it was funny.
Oh, because they had that twist top or whatever. Yeah.
But that was all the ATV and dirt biking kids that drank NOS.
Yeah, I had. So how I got into energy drinks was that I went to a church that so clearly wasn't all about religion. It was way more about trying to hook up. So we had a church that used to be, and now is again, like a rehab center. But it was a rehab center, and on the outside was like this big, it was like a shed. It was, I don't want to call it a shed. It was like a metal building that looked like a shed that was big, and it had a stage, and that's where they did like the youth church. And so they would play, music and stuff there. And then it was like more like rock style. And then they had like teachings and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Everyone there was like really promiscuous, and they were all like young girls and young guys.
Yeah. Wednesday youth group was just like a way for
people to meet and fuck or whatever. Yeah. I never fucked anybody from there, but I pretty much made out with like every single fucking girl at that church. And not all at once or in one day or 1 week or whatever, but over time. I went there for like 3 years. But I went there, and I went with Zach, and Zach took me there, and I met the girls. The girls like instantly were like really cool with me. And Zach really like kind of hated me for that. And I ended up dating this girl, Tyler. And every time she would go there, she had like a green Monster. And I never knew where she got those from. Because back then you didn't have a car or anything. Like parents would drop you off and you would go. Mm-hmm. And I got like a green Monster, and she would have one, and I would sip off for hers. And then,
it's pretty sus.
I think that's how I got into it. That's definitely how I got into it, because she had green Monsters. I ended up hating the flavor of green Monsters later, because it always just reminds me of Tyler. It's like we dated for like 8 months, and so like I'm 27 almost. That's kind of a long time. So I mean, in hindsight, I've been with my wife for almost 11 years. So at that time, it was kind of a long time, because at the time I'm 15.
Yeah.
So almost 1/15 of my life, I spent with Tyler. So yeah, when I thought about Monsters, the green Monsters, it really grossed me out. But like the white Monster specifically reminds me of 2013, because we replaced almost all of the drinks that we were having when we were having when we were having parties and stuff.
Yeah.
We replaced all of them with white Monsters. And then we would put like vodka and white Monsters, so you get like, it would balance you out, because alcohol's a depressant, but then like Monster is like a razor, so you're like, you would kind of get lifted up by the stimulant, so you would get Yeah, a razor. You would get like picked up by the monster while also being drunk. So it was like we were really into that. So the white monster always reminds me of that. So it kind of grosses me out. And then like Blue Mountain Dew reminds me of vodka. I only taste vodka now because I remember doing like 20 shots mix, so it was like really like 10 shots in one night. And I did like half Mountain Dew, half vodka, and it was voltage, and I did like no shit like 20 of those shots, but it was like half, so it was like 10 total. And now like every time I drink one of those, which I haven't had one in years, maybe like 6 years or so, but like it always reminded me of that vodka flavor.
Yeah.
And I was drinking that at like 13 or 14.
I feel like if me and you went to school together, we would have gotten along, but we
probably would have been in the same friend group. Probably.
Yeah, we existed in the same friend group, but we are very different people.
At the time, certainly. I was like super Christian at the time.
I didn't do any kind of partying.
No, I didn't even until college. In high school, I didn't do any. I was very straight edge. That whole straight edge movement.
Oh, I was
so on board
edge.
with that.
I was straight edge, but I wasn't religious. I just didn't do it because it was like one of those things. It was like the rubber banding effect. So I was like, my dad, fuck, you always like rebel against your parents, but like,
fuck yeah.
My dad would drink.
Fuck your parents, bro.
My dad worked on the road, and when he came home, he would drink a lot. He wasn't abusive or anything. He would just get drunk and be goofy.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'm never going to be like my dad. I'm never going to drink. And there was, at some point, my dad had told me a story, or he was explaining to me like his experience with drugs. I was coming to a certain point in my life where like it would have been accessible for me to try drugs. And my dad was like, look, I've done like every single drug that doesn't involve a needle. It doesn't fulfill you at all. And the second part of that didn't really mean anything to me. The first part was like, all right, my dad did a whole bunch of drugs. I'm not doing drugs either. Fuck my dad. I'm never going to be like my dad.
Yeah.
Man, I was rebellious for no fucking reason. I look back on it, I'm like, my parents are cool as fuck. But like I was just rebellious.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I never did drugs. So to put it in context, other than me smoking from 12 to 14, I didn't do drugs. I never drank alcohol until my fiance turned 21, and on her birthday, I was like, fuck it. I'm old enough, and if you're gonna drink, I'm gonna drink too. So whatever, I don't care. And I got drunk on the river, and my ass was falling out of my shorts, and I was talking about channeling my chi a lot. And
I remember
making her family mad.
One time, you and I got really drunk together. You could not stop talking about channeling your chi. Consistently.
I think I'm just like my dad a lot, where when I get drunk, I try too hard to be goofy. Like, it's just a constant flow of like, I'm gonna say some stupid shit.
That was really funny. That time we got really drunk, and you were like, we were in the pool. We were trying to play Marco Polo with no words.
Oh yeah, it was Ninja Marco Polo.
That was awesome, dude. And I remember at one point you had your hand like an inch from my face. You were like, I know he's like right here, and I didn't move, and I wasn't breathing, and you're like, your fucking finger was like right here, and I was like, ooh. That was so fucking fun.
But yeah, I didn't. So I was like 20. How much older am I than her? I'm like 2 years, almost 3 years older than her.
I'm 2 years older than. No, I'm 2 years older than Jenna.
Okay,
that doesn't mean anything, I guess.
Yeah,
you and I are about the same age.
But
yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like 2 years older than my fiance. So I was like 23, maybe 24 when we first started like drinking and stuff. The first time I ever smoked weed was like maybe like a couple years after that. And I've only done that 3 times. First time just made me like a little bit sleepy. The second time I took like a huge fucking bong rip, and I was just out of my mind, like rambling. It was I don't know if anybody else has this experience, because whatever, but like I just kept starting sentences, and halfway through that sentence, I would forget what I was talking about, and like the last word that I had said, I would just continue it off into like another direction, and then like halfway through that next sentence that I was doing. Like it would do the same thing. It was just like it was like a big run-on sentence that I was like trying to like figure out what I was talking about and continue it down.
It's probably not that abnormal for someone who's really high.
Yeah. And then the third time I smoked weed, it was nothing. And I was just like, it kind of costs a lot of money, and I don't really get that much out of it. So
I think from what I've seen, it seems like people have different experiences with being high. I think you were coming over this headset. Oh, sure. I think everyone's experience is quite different being high, and with different forms of the same substance. So some people specifically could have. I know one guy who can have 1,000 milligrams of edible.
Isn't that just a gram?
Oh, maybe it's 1,000 grams.
1,000 grams? It's a kilogram?
It's a lot. I know you're asking. Is 1,000 something like 1,000 milligrams of THC, right? So a gram of THC.
A gram isn't that much. Or I mean, in like when you're doing substances, I'm sure it is.
Yeah, so a milligram. Yeah, so it's like
it's not like that big.
300 mil. Yeah, it's THC. So 300 milligrams of THC is a lot.
Yeah.
He's had 1,000 milligram and nothing. He's like, I don't feel anything at all. But if he smokes, he instantly is high. So I mean, I think it's just different for everybody. And it's different for everybody in different forms of the substance. Because when I have edibles, I don't like edibles, 1. 2, it takes a really long time for me to feel it because my digestion system, I guess. And then 3, I always don't like the experience. I always feel like I'm like really out of my mind. But when I have like smoking weed, I feel like I could do anything. And I feel like I'm fine. I can like do my normal day-to-day life, drive, go to school, go to work, blah, blah, blah. And then deal with like my life, with the paranoia, of course. But but if I had an edible, I'm fucked. I'm like, I gotta stay put. I gotta stand still. And even then, I feel kind of dizzy and stuff. I don't like that feeling. I think everyone kind of just has a different experience with it, and I just it's not always about smoking it. But that's if you want it. Like, not everybody wants that feeling of being like really baked and like trying to do their life all baked,
Yeah,
I don't
even,
like
feeling
even.
like that.
I really support the legalization and stuff, but I'm not the type of person anymore who wants to do it every single day, all of the time. I had friends who did it all day, every day, start to finish. They lied to their girlfriends, blah blah. And I was at one point lying to Kaylee about doing drugs or not doing drugs, smoking weed and shit. So I'm just not that person anymore. Like if it's not legal, if Kaylee wasn't into it, I wouldn't be into it. If Kaylee, doesn't smoke with me, I probably wouldn't want to smoke because we're so like, I don't want to say connected. We're so like, not dependent.
Simpatico.
We're like, we do a lot of stuff together. We're synergized. So like we, if
it's easier for you to share.
I started eating meat and stuff because we share.
Did you say you just started eating weed?
Meat.
Oh, meat.
So like when I moved from being vegetarian to eating chicken and stuff, it's like it's just so much easier.
You started doing that right when I was like starting to break into like trying to like eat only like
vegetables and stuff. I remember that. Yeah. And I was like, it's just not worth it, man.
I did it for a while.
6 years.
It's hard because I've been not doing that for like ever. I want to do that stuff, not because my own moral systems don't like make me like care about animals morally, I guess. So I think that there are certain things. So to me, it's just like animals, and this sounds kind of cold, but this helps me contextualize the world and stuff, and not have any like inconsistencies within my own thought process. But like I think I view animals as property, just like I would view like kids as property. You're pretty much the property of your parents when you're a kid, and I've come to terms with. So I think somebody could have a pet cow and never kill it, and that be that's their prerogative. That's if that's their companion animal, that's fine. But my next door neighbor, I think I would be okay if they were like raising dogs for like meat, it'd be weird at first because it's like, do dogs actually taste good? Like, there's not a lot of meat on them. They're not very big. It's kind of an odd choice, but I think I would be okay with it.
Typically, predators aren't eaten because they have like really tough meat. It's mostly muscle.
Yeah, but I mean, I think I'd be okay with it. Like I've thought about it a lot. It would be weird. So if they were like, if they were like torturing them, like, and we could hear it, I'd be like, oh fuck, that sucks. But that would be like my emotional response. But
I think a lot of people are gonna disagree with you or not like that. But
I mean, well, I mean,
I think the big reason is
suck it. They're all emotional beings. Okay, I understand the emotion behind it. I'm just trying to be logical with it. It still sucks. I'll still have the emotional response, but I'll take a step back and like try to contextualize it.
I think the big reason why we don't like it is because they're our pets. Like,
well, you can easily see a dog as a pet. That's generally how people only see them.
They're so integrated into our day-to-day life that there's even laws against cats and dogs being like harmed or eaten or whatever, or abused. But like cows, chickens are abused by corporations in mass. In mass. Yeah, for sure. So I think it's just, and you can have pet chickens. I've seen pet chickens. There's I worked with a customer a week ago or two who had 19 chickens, and they don't eat them. They're pets.
Yeah. So there's I feel like this goes on the extreme of either side too. So if you're either like, you should never hurt a dog or a cat because they're pets, they deserve it, they deserve that stuff. But like, you look at the animal industry, and you're like, oh, I'm okay with like them keeping cows pregnant to like, keep them producing milk, and like cramming a bunch of chickens into a little tiny area. I
think for the most part, if people knew kind of how
if
those animals are being treated, they wouldn't like it. And for the most part, you cannot see that.
Yeah,
they won't let like videographers into,
because people are
places like Tyson or whatever.
Humans are very emotional. I understand it. I feel those emotional responses too when I see that stuff.
That was the big reason why I stopped eating meat. And when I think about that stuff, it makes me really sick. But like, I think to some degree, I mean, like, there are sustenance where there's so many people now. It's like we don't know what to do. Yeah. And like, I wish we ate more vegetables and stuff. Yeah. For sure. We all should eat more vegetables and then eat less meat, so there's less demand for meat. But some people, like my mom, eats meat for every meal. And generally my breakfast isn't, and sometimes my lunch isn't, but usually my dinner is. Has some form of chicken or turkey. Yeah. But when you think of cows, bro, when I think of cows, it kills me because like they're just like they're like a factory in themselves, just by themselves. And chickens, they fucking gas half the chickens. If they're male, they kill them. Yeah. That's brutal. That's unnecessary. That's an unnecessary amount. Like, why can't we just like calm the fuck down?
Yeah, and we're making a lot of like leaps and bounds into making like veganism much more accessible to people. Yeah. I think people are just gonna have to. I think if anybody takes some time to sit down and try to logically think out these things, like why are you okay with the animal industry or animal agricultural industry, whatever it is, with cows and chickens and whatnot. Why are you okay with that? But you wouldn't be okay with like the same thing. Like, why does it sound weird to you? Like in Asian countries where they eat dogs, like why is that weird to you?
Because culturally we've accepted that dogs are part of the family.
Yeah, but what makes
because they're in every household.
Oh, and pigs. We keep forgetting pigs, man. And pigs are hyper intelligent. Pigs are even more intelligent than dogs sometimes. Like usually,
more than Vivi. That's for sure.
I don't know. I think Vivi's a little mastermind. I just think he's a fucking masochist, dude.
Maybe. But like,
he's taking those fake.
The answer is that they've become integrated into the house where they are part of the family. Yeah, they should be. I mean, like, they are part of the. I have a dog, definitely part of the family. But
then what?
And if I thought about eating Frodo, I instantly want to cry. But dude,
it would be. You wouldn't have. He serves as an animal companion, but like the same way as like, what if there's a big movement of like vegans starting to have like cows as pets, and that became more normalized? Would then people be like, feeling a little bit less good about eating a burger.
Probably. I mean, probably.
So then maybe we should.
We
start
didn't
moving in
even
that
care
direction.
about the R word until, like, was put into the spotlight, and no one cares about anything until there's how you like fine tune your flashlight and you twist it and it gets real bright and into a specific spot. That's what it's like to look at something new, like saying the R word, or what's the new thing is like like sexuality and stuff, not sexual. You're like being trans and stuff.
Yeah.
That wasn't a concern 30 years ago, but it is now. And I think the big thing is that people look at something and they focus on it and they're like, this is a problem. And then everyone's like really conscious of it. They're like, oh my gosh, like I didn't realize that I was transphobic or, whatever, homophobic or whatever. And then we put like shed light with the community as a society, as like the world that we live in. And then once that we feel it's fairly resolved, we move on. And I think if that did happen with cows, it probably would become an issue where we're like, well, you shouldn't be eating meat and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, you could do that, but cows, you need a lot of
have
land.
Hunting cows.
I think you have to.
People should have hunting cows.
It's like a half an acre per cow.
Rescue cows. There should be like therapy cows. Then people stop eating fucking burgers, and then we just have to work on chickens after that.
Yeah,
man,
burgers just aren't. I don't think red meat is that good. I think some people are like, a good steak, dude, is the best shit ever.
No, steak's kind of fucking garbage, dude. Steak's just so boring. Like there are some. So if I'm being
someone's
real,
gonna argue right now and say you haven't had the best steak.
I've been to Brazilian steakhouses, and it's good. The way they cook it is good, but it's not like, man, it like if I had the choice where it was like, hey, would you rather eat like this piece of steak from a Brazilian steakhouse, or would you eat like, I don't know, like a fucking like there's this really fucking good like spicy vegetable stir fry that I get from this Asian place.
That does sound better.
And the spicy vegetable stir fry sounds so much fucking better all the time. You know what?
Like
too
veggie ramen over like a steak.
Americans
sounds way better.
Americans fucking ruin vegetables, dude.
Yeah.
Americans suck at making vegetables. I feel like if we started putting a ban on like
frying stuff.
Well,
we got an air fryer now.
It's not even the frying stuff. It's like the boring shit, like the fucking green beans and shit. Like there's nothing to it. They're not even salted or peppered or anything. Like other countries do vegetables so much fucking better than Americans do. We need to start doing that
There's
shit,
veggies
dude.
I've only recently learned exist because I watch so much cooking shows with Kaylee now that I'm like, what the fuck is that thing? And they're like, oh, she's like, oh, yeah, it's this type of vegetable. I'm like, I've never even seen that. And she's like, yeah, it's not really popular over here. Like they use fruits that I didn't even know were fruits. Like there's some weird like magenta colored fruit that's like long, and they use it all the time. I don't remember what it's called. They use it all the time in cooking shows. They're like, oh yeah, I'm putting not pralines, but it's some weird fruit. And we don't have it in America. It's big other places. We just don't have it. We didn't think about it. We focus way more on fast food stuff. McDonald's type food.
Yeah.
Fries and burgers.
I think we need,
but that keeps us fat.
Yeah. I really like, so when I was like trying to like cut out all, I think I was more vegetarian. I don't think I'd cut out like milk and stuff and cheese just because it's, it's just kind of good. Well, no, actually I tried cutting out a lot of cheese and stuff. But when I was trying to eat healthier, I found like a lot of substitutes and stuff. And like I hear you meme all the time where you're like, man, fuck that like impossible shit. It's all fucking oils anyways.
It is. Yeah.
I found some stuff that was like plant fiber like based stuff that was pretty good. There's like the black bean like
black
vegan
beans
patties.
are fine. Oh,
those are good as fuck.
Black bean patties are the healthiest vegan alternative that I have seen. If you look at all the different same brands, like if you look at like whatever farms, the green one, and you look at black beans, you look at like the substitute chicken, substitute beef, substitute fucking fish.
Yeah.
The black bean patty is the healthiest one because there's nothing in there that you can't, like that's like artificial, like or not artificial, but there's like, it's not an oil base. When you look at like the fake chicken, fake chicken is like mostly bullshit and sugar, and then like some other like pea proteins. And then with the fucking fake beef, it's mostly oils. It's like 3 different types of oils. And then it's like, oh yeah, we put beets in there and stuff.
But I think we could have so with the accessibility of this stuff, and it actually tasting good, I think the only issue right now is people's unwillingness to engage in like critical thinking about their own beliefs, introspection, and stubbornness to like change. And Americans have a really, really big fucking problem with that.
I mean, maybe as a whole. I mean, I haven't lived in other places outside of America, but maybe other people in other countries have the same problem.
They might, especially with the food stuff. But there's like, it's so. I think with America, it's like on another level of ingrained into us.
Yeah,
if you look at all the stuff that with the COVID,
and, like the tradition, where it's like, this is the way of, this is like America's way. That's the American burger. You know, it's like one's associated. Thing. Yeah, it's like a pride. Where it, like the ground you walk on is somehow attached to like you as a person individually, even though there is no such thing as like a state. The states don't literally exist. It's just like an invisible line that like is drawn for like tax purposes. You know, you're not actually a Texan. You're just living on this planet. Like, because the land is all connected in the middle anyways.
So if you look at the like all the COVID numbers and stuff, so all the COVID stuff that has happened, nice. COVID, gun control, and the healthcare stuff. So those 3 issues really kind of highlight how stubborn and ingrained in how little like introspection people have into like what they believe in America specifically. Like you'll still see Americans out there like we're not going to wear masks. We're not scared of this China virus. Yeah. Like, and that shit, we're doing like the worst out of everybody. America, number one, America, you're so proud of like America for being like fucking 34th on the like on the countries who are doing the best with COVID, and being the number one, the only place we're number one is in the amount of like deaths we've had. Like,
yeah, I think right now, like somewhere like, is it France? Somewhere's doing real bad right now, but probably. Someone's having like a 3rd wave or something, and like there's I don't
think our first wave is even over. We've just been like continuing, just like ebbed a little bit.
Yeah, because like I technically already had it. My mom had it. It's like I admittedly have kind of forgot about the seriousness. Although I'm still wearing my mask everywhere I go, and I'm still sanitizing my hands everywhere I go, and I'm still taking vitamins. Nothing changed. I just kind of forgot that it was like a big ass problem. It's more of like it's become a way of life now.
And you know, because of all the mask mandates and stuff, in the quarantining and everything, our flu season for 2020 was virtually non-existent.
Yeah.
Because nobody was out there giving each other the fucking flu.
Yeah, we're washing our fucking hands. And
but
we're covering our mouths.
You know what's not going to happen after everybody gets the COVID vaccine and like there's no more mask mandates and everything?
Yeah.
Is the flu season's going to come swinging right back into effect because nobody wants to put on fucking masks because they're so entitled and come up with some bullshit excuses about how it like gives you respiratory infections and like you can't breathe and like how is it going to stop the virus?
It's strange still seeing people complain about it, like when they walk up to you and they're like, God, I just fucking hate wearing this mask, and you're like, are you just trying to get me to like have this conversation with you? We've been wearing them for over a year now. It's just like at this point, man, you can't. Whatever experience that you were having where it was a problem, it probably isn't still a problem.
No. And I know the uncomfortability of wearing the mask.
I don't like the way it feels on my ears.
Yeah, you have something covering your face. You have something around your ears. It feels fucking weird, and it feels a little bit like it's obstructing. But you know what? You get fucking used to it. We all wear clothes. That shit's hot as fuck all the time. When your nuts get sweaty, you can't just take your fucking pants off in public because you've been socially conditioned not to fucking do that shit.
Could you imagine someone was like, oh, God, I just hate wearing my underwear. Don't you feel me? And you're like, please go away. I'm like,
yeah.
No.
Like, of course it's uncomfortable. Of course there are going to be times it's uncomfortable, but it's not unsafe. There's no reason you can't do it. It's less safe if you don't do it.
Yeah. I feel a little, I have a friend on Snapchat, Jordan, and every fucking weekend, this guy is like out. Last week he was on a fucking he was on a boat with a bunch of people, no masks, just fucking dancing around on this big ass boat. This past week he was at a club, and so in a club, like there was like 50 people in his Snapchat and he's dancing. None of them have masks on, and they're all fucking partying. Like, I miss having fun too, dude, but that shit ain't helping.
Super spreader events. And you know what? I've been talking to a lot of people from Australia recently.
On COD?
Well, no, not on COD. Like, all the people that I'm about to play this, like, streamed D&D session are, like, from Australia.
Yeah.
Well, 2 of them live in Britain. One of them in Britain is from Australia, and then the other one's from Australia. So, like, 2 out of the 3 of them are Australians.
Nice.
And on Sea of Thieves, when I'm playing in the middle of the night when no one else is on, I meet all these Australian kids. But they have like nothing. There's like nothing over there. They did the mask mandates. They did the quarantining, and now they're fucking fine. They got like one case pop up like somewhere, and they were like, "Oh shit, shut it down for like a day. We're gonna figure out what's going on." They shut everything down, trace it all back, quarantine the dude, and now their society's just back to fucking normal. They're fine.
Yeah.
But we're so fucking stubborn and entitled over here.
We're very
like,
stubborn.
We accept that there's a mask mandate, and we like half-ass it all the way through.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't help while you're complaining that it's something you don't want to do.
Yeah.
It's like we're not. It's all half measures doing absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Just like with the business like stuff, we kind of shut down
6
businesses.
feet is irrelevant at this point. Like no one's doing that. And I don't think it's necessary, right? If you have the mask, right? It's like,
well, it's with the mask you want to be away from 6 feet because the amount you can like spew out is lessened because of the mask, and the 6 feet thing is like a meeting in the middle kind of thing for how far the particles are supposed to be able to go.
But I definitely have been way closer than 6 feet. And those fucking little squares don't mean shit. They're on the ground. Even if you do, you're still within like 4
Somebody
feet of
will
them.
walk up right behind you and start breathing on the back of your head.
I went to
These
Marshall's.
masks, right?
Yeah.
Fuck you. Dude.
I went to Marshall's, and there was like the stickers, and I think I was within like 4 feet of these people or less, and I'm like, oh, it doesn't work if you have kids, because then if you have like kids and they're behind you, now I'm like a foot from your fucking kid, you know. It doesn't mean
it's
shit.
easier to take them.
What? Yeah, I think I don't know. I mean, in that sense, no one's following it. I don't think. For the most part, people are putting on masks. There are places like we went to, not Benbrook. Where was that? We went to
New Braunfels?
No, no. When we were looking for houses.
Oh, Garland? Not Garland.
Yeah, exactly. You see where I'm getting tripped up?
Fucking Granbury.
We went to Granbury, and no one was wearing masks. Nobody.
It's like a hodunk town, though. Like,
yeah, we went to QT, and literally everyone in there was not wearing masks.
Listen, we ain't wearing masks down here. We them good old boy. You know what? I'm like so close to being like taking the radical position that like everybody reasonable should wear masks, and anybody who's not wearing masks in public aren't reasonable, and we should just like separate ourselves from them, and they can all go fucking, spread shit around to each other and die, and we don't have to worry about them at some point. I don't think they should be our problem anymore. I think at some point we need to be like, this is a toxic relationship, and we need to separate ourselves.
This sounds a little like segregation, dude.
Yeah, from reasonable people and unreasonable people. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with drawing those lines. Yeah, that's not an arbitrary basis. That's not like the color of your skin.
No,
which is stupid. That's you're choosing to put yourself in danger and everybody else in danger. We're gonna let you do you, and you can all go die. We're gonna just try to function as society.
How do you dictate who's reasonable and who's unreasonable?
Couldn't.
A test?
No, that would be you would have to choose somebody arbitrarily to like do that.
Yeah, like a reasonable and unreasonable is a little subjective. Yeah. But you could usually smell it out, dude. Like an unreasonable person acts mostly on feelings, and they're all like
a Taco Bell fart. You could smell it out like a Taco Bell fart. It's a little late on that delivery. Please forgive me.
But like someone who's like just listens to no amount of reason, no amount of logic. You could tell them all this shit, and then in the end, they're like, "I'm gonna fucking go slash their tires," and you're like, "All right, you know what? You're unreasonable."
You know what I find? So, in my
Youth.
my Facebook activism, my just debating everybody who's on my friends list, I find that, like, again, this comes back to people are really emotional beings, and they're okay with being extremely emotional, but they like to tout it as they're being extremely logical. They're not. So, like, our justice system, people are fucking huge on, like, retributive justice. Like, retribution is a big thing. Nobody cares about, like, recidivism. They don't care about, like, actually trying to rehabilitate people or anything. It's like, they did something wrong, fuck them. We're gonna fucking get back at them. Fuck them. We're sticking them in a fucking tin can for this many years because they did something bad. Haha. And they don't care about how the person comes out. They just care about that they're getting punished.
Yeah.
When we should care about how people are getting punished. Punishing, like, well, I think punishing is like, I don't like the word punish, because I'm a determinist, but I think we should correct, like, and that's one thing that I would talk about in, like, our determinism thing, because a big thing with determinism is how do you ever hold anybody, like, culpable for any choice they make.
Part of what I wanted to talk about.
Yeah. And I think, thinking about it more, I think it's not that we're punishing somebody for something that they technically didn't have a, like, choice in doing because of determinism. We're instead introducing a variable into their life that we think is going to change the course of future actions.
Yeah, I imagine if you went to prison or something, you're probably a little more likely. I mean, because there's a big deterrent. Like, I don't want to go back to prison and deal with more shit. But it's 40 years. Like, you don't have shit to do anyways. It's like getting home at 9 o'clock. You only got till 12, and then you go to bed, right? Maybe, if you're me. But, like, let's say you do 40 years and you get out when you're 60. Okay, well, now you have nothing to do. It's 9 o'clock. You're almost done. So
yeah, fuck it.
So, like, are you going to go back and do it? I mean, did you learn your lesson? Whatever. It would be nice to see more of that line of thinking where you're trying to fix something instead of punish something.
Rather than where you hurt people, so we're going to hurt you. It's, okay.
So
where you are now, you can't function with the variables you currently have under a determinist framework. The variables you currently have don't lead you to make good choices in society. So we're going to put you we're going to isolate you from society for a little bit. We're going to try to correct or introduce some other variables that are going to counteract those, give you better tools to engage with the world with. So education, work stuff, like practice for interviews, and like job training and stuff. Like, we're going to do that. We're going to make it a lot easier for you to function in a society. And then, when we release you back into society, hopefully at that point, the variables you've had up to this point have been balanced out to where you can function in that society without, going against the grain that led you into prison.
So I was looking up this thing. Like, I feel like sometimes it walks that fine line between, like, justice and revenge.
Yeah.
And revenge is, like, emotional, right? So I was looking, like, the key differences would be, like, revenge begets more revenge. Justice provides closure. Revenge is one-sided and motivated by self-interest. Justice is impartial. Carrying out revenge is a weapon. Carrying out justice is a shield, a form of protection. Revenge is driven by emotion. Justice is driven by logic and rationality. And there's, like, I was reading a book. I don't know if it was the Malcolm Gladwell book, Talking to Strangers, or if it was another book by the dude who does Zeitgeist. I forget that guy's name. He's a very, like, simple name. It's like John Smith or something. But the discussion there is like, so my point is that when you go to, like, court,
yeah,
you have people who justify you as a person. You go up there, they meet you as in terms. So they did these studies where, the court and like some of this was like just research, and then this is of course implemented in our day to day like judicial system.
yeah.
But we have the judge. I was gonna say the court. I know,
You made the fucking
the gavel.
You made the gavel thing. When you're thinking about the word judge, the first thing that comes to your mind is the gavel.
So there's the judge
Uh-huh.
has you come up and like they meet you as a person. They see you as a person. One, you come there in a suit and tie. You don't come there in a fucking like baggy ass shirt and pants because you have to like represent yourself or whatever. And then they have you give some shit and you say some shit and they value you as a person. And then you're like, oh, my name is Timothy Smith and I am, a good person for these reasons, blah, blah, blah. This was a mistake, blah, blah, blah. And they give you all these things, right? They give you like a backstory. They like listen to your backstory. They emotionally listen to like accounts. And then they like try making a decision. That's not objective. If you walked into a Denny's and you shot 6 people, objectively, there's nothing to listen to. And if there is, it should be a determinist aspect of what led to these events.
Yeah.
But whereas there's an aspect to the judicial system, a very obvious aspect to the judicial system, where there is emotion brought into it, where we are like trying to determine this emotional aspects, not in one way or the other being one better than the other, because I would bet anything that there have been times where learning more about the scenario in terms of emotion and what the situation was behind it could rectify someone who's wrongly accused or someone who was like only in the moment, crime of passion, things like that, where that could resolve some things. But there is a huge aspect of the court system that is heavily based in emotion. Not only the court system, but in our like how we like look at like cancel culture and stuff.
Yeah.
Where it's like you're mad at somebody, you want revenge. If nothing happens, you feel like nobody cares. And then like you feel like your voice is unheard and you're missing out and you're silenced or whatever. But
it's very emotionally driven.
It's emotionally driven where it becomes revenge, and it's not really a social justice. You're like, oh man, fuck this person. They said this and that. The way you started that sentence automatically writes you off as an emotional person.
Yeah.
Like what's the objective thing that has happened here? And this is gonna circle back, but when I have conversations with someone like an irrational person, and I try to bring that conversation where I'm like playing devil's advocate. I'm like, well, what did they say? How did
your mom?
Yeah, I didn't want to say that, but yeah, but
it's all right. We all know.
Yeah, when I give that type of,
we still like your mom.
Everybody, no,
she's nice.
She's
nice. Kooky. She's nice.
Yeah. So when I try to have a conversation about why someone's mad at somebody else, I'm like, what did they say? What led up to that?
Mm-hmm.
Why would they have said that? Did you consider that this happened? Did you consider that this might have happened? They're like, why are you taking their side? It's like, I'm not taking their side. I'm trying to understand them because I want to make sure that like you have the full story before you are angry. Because like I'm not angry at them because thusly I can like look at these things more objectively. So in some ways, like maybe I'm the judge in that scenario, and then that person's the defendant, or whatever, the plaintiff, and like I get it. I do get why there's balance in it because for her she's emotional. For me, I'm objective, and I'm not emotional. And I'm like, well, is it this way? Is it this way? Did you consider this? Did you consider that? And oftentimes the answer is no. Yeah. But even then, it doesn't matter. It's fuck them. Fuck them twice. It's like I know someone who recently quit their job, didn't get to hear out why they were being called into the office.
Mm-hmm.
And then that person just quit before they even got into the office. They got called in the office and never went in. Yeah, it could have been a promotion. It could have been like, hey, your hours are going to shift. Hey, we're going to change you to this position or whatever, blah, blah. It could have been, hey, how was your weekend? It could have been anything, bro. There's so many times I've been to the office and it's been like some random shit where it's like I go to the office and
you have to sign this updated part of the like employee verification there.
Yes,
whatever.
for sure.
Or employment document.
I had a manager once pull me in the office and he said, "I need to talk to you. You're not in trouble, but it's real serious." He was going through a very serious moment in his life where he was being exploited on on the internet, and he thought someone was like really fucking with him, and he thought like he wanted my advice really. And he cried to me. If I would have been like, "Fuck you, bro, I'm out," and I quit, what the hell would have happened to that guy? It might have looked like I was in trouble, but and I felt like I was gonna be, but I didn't, I hardly do anything wrong at work besides talking back. And then no, he cried, dude. He had like a real human moment, and then we talked, bro. If I would have just stormed out, I never would have seen all that shit.
Yeah, somebody else would have had to have had that conversation with him,
and it wouldn't have gone the same way it would have gone with me for sure. And we rectified it. He's not getting fucked up on the internet and stuff. It was solved the very next day, and it was all cool. But had he not had that conversation with me, who knows? And if I would have just quit, he might have looked like something was seriously wrong, and then he really would have been upset with me, maybe. So you got to just think of those other variables, and someone who's not as reasonable wouldn't. So I get that whole kind of balance between the emotional and the objective.
Yeah, the emotion
but you have to separate that revenge from that justice.
The emotion helps you. I think the emotion helps you figure out that something has happened. I think past that, the emotion should not be a factor in it, because where it sucks. Of course, when you feel like you've been slighted, of course it sucks. But in that goes for that would be society and somebody committing a crime, or if you're trying to sue somebody or somebody beat your kneecaps out for some reason. But past that initial emotional response where you're like, all right, some fucked up shit happened to me. Past that, we need to figure out, why did this happen to you? What led up to this point? How can we correct it? Rather than how do we get revenge for this person so they feel better and fuck everything else?
Yeah. And I think the way you're looking at it is way more deterministic, where it's you're looking at the path that's led to this event
and how we can correct the path to have them be a functioning member of society,
which we'll talk about determinism in the next podcast.
No,
we were going to talk about hentai this podcast, but instead we talked about some other shit.
What kind of hentai do you want to talk about?
I gotta pee real fucking bad.
So you're just gonna end it?
No, I won't end it. You end it.
Okay, I'll talk to them about hentai for a little bit.
Yeah, talk to them about hentai while I go pee. It's the only thing.
All right. So have you guys ever, and you can answer this yourselves, nobody can hear you, not even me, okay? So have you ever been browsing around on some hentai, and you see some really tame looking stuff, and you're like, damn, those are some big, sweet, juicy titties, and you go into it, and within the first 3 minutes, somebody has grabbed those titties, and they are squeezing milk out of them, and this is not a pregnant woman. How does that make sense to anybody? Do you know how rare it is for somebody to be lactating when they are not pregnant? That's insane. Who are these people writing these hentai storylines? I don't know. We need to have a serious talk in the hentai community about actual physical and human anatomy. I think it is also crazy that every girl. So I was recently reading a webcomic that was pretty hentai-ish, but I don't know the specific terminology for it. Every time a girl came in that comic, they squirted like crazy. And every time one person was referring to a penis or a vagina, they would call it a dick or a pussy. And both sides of the equation were using the same terminology. It just felt like, in the end, that it was written by somebody who didn't really understand sex all that much, and didn't really understand interactions between people, or how people can have prefer different terminologies, even in a sexual encounter together. I think there's a lot of stuff that's going on in the in those kinds of circles where we need to educate, right? We need more realistic hentai. And that's kind of where I'm at. And Moreover, I don't understand the tentacle aspect. The tentacles. Where did that come from?
You fucker! I thought that was your butt. It's
What?
just your bag.
Dude, my butt crack goes like halfway up my back, bro.
I thought you pulled down your fucking pants.
No, I was
It
just leaning
just
forward
your
talking.
Ass. No, it's
Nope.
your back. It just from the angle.
Well,
the
so
shadow
I'm
looked
kind of a bigger guy. My butt crack goes halfway up my back.
I just thought it was. I thought it was your butt crack. It's not. It was just a shadow. It was just like the way it was like valleyed, you know.
Anyway,
Oh, I should have given you this water, and then I have this water right here.
I don't care.
You want the old one?
I don't know.
I have this one. I have this one. I only have one sip out of it.
So, the next topic, right, is going to be why tentacles.
God, I feel like I really could go off about him.
And is
like
it-
a whole podcast?
Is there a fetishization of squid or octopi? I don't understand where it comes from. What has maybe like so it's weird that it's kind of well, actually, you know what? When I say this is going to sound weird out loud, but it feels like they skipped over the whole bestiality thing, right? The easy thing to do is land animals fucking other land animals, but they jump to land animals, humans, fucking things that have characteristics of sea animals. Why? And why not fish? Why tentacles? I don't understand. Who's getting roto-rooted by snakes? When did why was that skipped over? Or am I just missing like a whole history of hentai?
Dude, maybe there is a fucking history there.
Like I know furry porn's like a new thing.
That doesn't seem that strange.
It
There's been hot animal girls forever. Like you've seen like the Goofy
Yeah.
movie and shit like that. They're there. Any Zootopia? That's just how it went.